Inshallah and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. And as always, welcome back to Musing with Tonya D podcast. I am your host. My name is Tonya D. I'm a practicing holistic shaman, medium, an otherworldly life coach, and a subtle energetic surgeon, a reflector by human design. And yes, I've known I'm a reflector for quite some time, since before I actually started my podcast. Either way, my intention truly is to utilize the power of indigenous technologies, wisdom, ancient wisdom of our bones down to our original divine blueprint to really navigate through our soul's harmonic, the realm of the elementals, the elemental highway, into and through the imaginal realm, the shaman's portal. And welcome to the season of that, by the way, Scorpio. Really reintroducing you to the magical being that I truly believe heartfelt resides within each and every one of us. This energy blueprint is unique and individual, and I would call it our divine blueprint, really, to really raise our frequency to our prime directive, your inner genius. I do call myself a holistic shaman medium, which is just a choreography of each and everything. And welcome to my podcast, Medicine Room. And I do go live on YouTube at Tonya D for a daily, weekly snippet, if that makes sense. I used to go live daily, but now I'm on the weekly. I generally talk about the element of the week. I believe that's our foundation. I do a moon or two meditations about the moon as a reflector and ritual. I've now added a ritual to my medicine room episode for meditations. I share the element of the day that generally comes from the 4 pillars, but also the Dagara cosmology and technology. I believe the elemental realm is part of our foundation. That's why I created the Rising of the Origins, and that's a gateway into the realm of our own personal elemental highway. Now, a lot of curious minds are wondering why that's so very important. Just even a small understanding of your elemental foundation, that's when you can really utilize the elementals for healing, manifesting, and so much more. And when your elemental foundation is balanced and in alignment with your gift and just living your purpose, your prime directive, that's where everything starts choreographing a new energetic frequency for us and through us. And it really activates the spirit that resides within each and every one of us. We got to bring spirit into the body to be embodied. Our spirit needs to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and so much more merged with our body, climbing into our skin. But I also share insights with the subtle energies, the bodies, the fields, insights, and a lot more. Being a seer to the unseen as a reflector and also in the Dagara cosmology. But I do hope that your heart is shining bright and everlasting and really inspired and just loving the season of the witches. And this week's audio room artist in the season of the witches is Michelle Case. She studied CranioSacral Therapy amongst Reiki, energy healing. She's got a dynamic body balancing program. She's also deepened her knowledge in. She's been certified with energy medicine through the apprenticeship program of Miss Cyndi Dale. She's focused her work on developmental trauma, generational trauma, and even attachment issues. Her work actually supports in the releasing of emotions that are stored in the physical body. She's very passionate about using somatic experience in her work in combination with other modalities. Her heart really is opened and aligned with assisting. I truly believe this is her gift and her purpose. So today we're going to talk about how the body stores the key or keeps the key. We need the key to open the door. And if you don't know what somatic experiencing or somatic healing is, it's a method for healing those overwhelming traumatic experiences and how they impact our body, not just our physical body, but I sense our energetic body and how it expresses itself in our day-to-day life. So she creates a safe space for her guests and clients, along with the nervous system, to explore what's already ready in order to gain this expanded ability to really tolerate those energetic distress signals or energetic hiccups, while at the same time releasing trauma And a lot of it often is those suppressed emotions that have actually been stored in our body. So, with all of that, let's welcome Michelle Case to my audio medicine room. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Tonya. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been very excited knowing that this has been coming up. So thanks for doing this.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I'm so excited that you chose to be on this season of The Witches.
I'm excited for all of to hear other people's and to do this one. It's going to be really good.
So let's dive in. How did you begin or start your healing and your spiritual journey? Do you like merge the two or do you see them as two separate entities?
Oh, they're definitely merged. And I came to healing and spirituality back in 2007 when I started my journey in sobriety, covering alcoholic. And when I first became sober, I was looking for things to help me, to support me, to help make me feel better. And I first found Reiki. And so I studied and learned that, and then went to pranic healing, which is another energy modality. And I love pranic healing. That's amazing. And from there, I learned and experienced for myself CranioSacral Therapy, which since 2011 has been my main modality. And it's very powerful, subtle. I love it. And it has helped me and supported me for a long time. And then after that, I had a breakup right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I realized that even though I've been doing all of these healing things for myself, that I still had a lot left to heal. That breakup showed me where I was still allowing toxicity in my life and where there were dysfunctional patterns. And so I heard about this modality called somatic experiencing. And talk therapy in the past had never really worked for me at all. So I thought, well, this somatic experiencing is supposed to be a body-based modality. I was going to try that. So I went and tried it, and it's not anything that's an overnight light switch type fast thing, but I felt better and I started to feel better. Then I started to be in situations and notice myself responding differently than I would have in the past. And I was so intrigued, and it helped me so much that I decided that I needed to learn about it. That's kind of my pattern, is if I experience something and I really like it, I want to know more about it. So then I go learn about it. So I started to learn about somatic experiencing, and it was a very intense 3-year program to become somatic experiencing practitioner. And I became a practitioner, finished all the requirements back in April of this year. So now I'm incorporating somatic experiencing along with craniosacral. I can do each of them separately, and I'm also merging them together. So I don't know if I think I probably went beyond your question, but that's kind of how I found somatic experiencing and how I started on this healing journey.
So, what's your definition of somatic experiencing? And I'm sure there's an intention with it.
Yeah, it's a non-diagnostic modality, meaning it's not there to try and find or label something that's wrong. So it's not diagnostic. I define it as helping and supporting the body's nervous system to integrate and renegotiate any trauma or past activation that is still being held in the body, so that we have a bigger window of tolerance when something triggering or activating happens to us. Normally, at least this was my experience, I wouldn't be in control of my response all the time. Something would happen and I would have kind of a programmed in response to it. A lot of times it would be anger would come up as a protector to fear or sadness that was underneath, but I didn't have control of that response. And what somatic experiencing does is when a trigger or activation is presented to us, it gives us a little more room to have a pause and allow us to start to choose our response rather than using that canned, programmed, hardwired response that we've learned from since we were kids. And it was effective then, but as we grow older and we start to, become adults and have different, more complex interactions, sometimes those hardwired responses can become maladaptive, not positive. They could be harmful for ourselves and the other people that we're interacting with. Maybe not physically harmful, but not supportive, not a good thing. So somatic experiencing works with the body, and today's talk is called The Body Holds the Key. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, who is, amazing author, and he talks about this and other modalities, and he talks about how we store things in the body. And so if the body keeps the score, then through somatic experiencing and accessing what's in our bodies, that is the key to helping get us into a more comfortable place, a place of greater ease. It's amazing. We don't even have to know the story. We don't have to know what happened to us. We don't have to remember. We don't have to relive the trauma. Some of the trauma that happens to some of us is, pre-verbal, before, babies, before we even have words. And so trying to work with an experience that doesn't have words by talking about it is hard. So this is a powerful modality, and it's changed my life.
So you've been doing this for quite some time?
I've been a client for, I think now 5 years. It'll be 4 years, over 4 years. So, and then I studied my program. I went through it a little faster than 3 years. I think I got through it in about 2.5 for being a practitioner.
So what's the biggest memoir that's really helped you through this somatic experiencing? Like, I'm sure it's been a huge difference in your life.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is when my daughter said to me, "Mom, you're a lot different now." I was a single mom, and then she saw me recover. She saw me when I was drinking in her younger years, and then she saw me recover. I'm not a bad mom. I was an over-helping mom. I was a little nervous, I guess you'd say, when she would tell me something, or "Mom, this happened," I would kind of go, "Oh, well, we've got to do this and you got to do that. I'm going to help you fix this" mode. And she got to a point where she wasn't comfortable telling me things because she was uncomfortable with my response, and which is valid. And at that time, I didn't see it. And now through my work with somatic experiencing as a client, she's learning that I'm a safe person. She's learning that she can tell me anything. And I'm getting a little emotional because this is such a huge thing for me, to be able to have that improved relationship with her, and for her to know that, to notice that I'm different and how I'm modeling being more healthy. So yeah, that's, to me, is the biggest thing. Just the change in how I'm able to show up, and now I'm able to be the mom that she needs rather than the mom I think she needs.
So what other experiences have you seen, like with clients in real life, when they've gone through this?
Yeah, I think people who have fear of situations, maybe fear of flying, where they're able to fly again, where they have a fear of whatever social interactions, that if they're able to show up and actually step into things that were uncomfortable, maybe debilitating. I've seen people be able to have healthy boundaries and speak their truth and step up and advocate for themselves, where in the past they may have not felt safe to do that, or they may have not been felt heard to do that. So when they're able to step up and use their voice in a healthy, positive way, and then they get results, there's just so many different varied benefits, and it really depends on the person and how they need to show up for themselves and how they need to bring a more healthier version of themselves forward. So those are some that I've seen. Better sleep. I mean, that's like a practical or a physical thing. Better sleep, more motivation. There's so many benefits.
How long does like the results, how many sessions usually?
It is varied. So it's not like you go to one session and the next week you see a shift. And actually, you can go to a session and you can have a really great session and feel great afterwards. And that's wonderful. But all of the real shift and the work happens outside of the session when you're living real life, when you're living your day-to-day life, when you run into triggers and you run into things that could potentially stretch you. So how long? I mean, I'm thinking I started to see results within 2 months, little shifts, little changes where I would say, wow, I normally wouldn't have handled that in this way, and I like how I handled it. And it's little baby shifts, it's little over time, gradual, but it's enough that you look back. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. You climb 5 steps, you look back, you don't think you've gone very far. You climb 10 more, you look back and you're going, okay, now I'm making some progress. But each step isn't very big. And for me, that's what my experience has been, and what I've witnessed other people is really gradual. But my change in myself over the 4 years that I've been a client has been significant, where other people are seeing it, like especially my daughter is now noticing how different I am. And that's huge to me, when other people can see, oh, you're not quite as high strung as you were. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being high strung. It's just, for me, it wasn't my place of ease.
How is this different than other modalities that are out there? I mean, there's so many, right? So somatic experiencing, I guess that's kind of a label in a way, right?
It is a label, and it's, somatic is the body, experiencing. So it's experiencing the body. It's really looking at what's in the body. This modality is different, I think, because it focuses on what's in the body. And I do want to say that I am not saying that somatic experiencing is better than any other modality, or that it's the only modality. I think all of them are effective and all of them are great, and we need all of them. There are modalities out there that work better for me than others. And like I said earlier, the talk therapy for me, it wasn't working for me, because I do think a lot of my stuff that I've stored in my body is pre-verbal. And so the words weren't working. So we don't talk a lot. There's some talking, and we focus on the body. Somatic experiencing works with different channels, and they call it CYBAM. So there's a sensation channel where we actually have the physical sensations in our body: hot, cold, sweaty, shaking, those kinds of things. There's eye image channel, where talking about something, you may get an image in your mind's eye, or it might remind you of a picture or a visual of some kind. That's an image channel. B is behavior. So if your body moves when you're talking, or if when you're explaining a situation in your life and you do a repetitive movement, we can pay attention to the behavior that's being exhibited and slow that down. Because when we're doing a behavior, if it's fast, our body and our brain may not be able to register it, so we slow that way down. The A stands for affect, which is like emotion. So we can feel a sadness, or we can feel joy, we can feel whatever the emotions are. And then M is what many of us are very familiar with, and that's meaning channel. That's where we're in our head and we try and understand and figure out why. So somatic experiencing really can work with all of those channels. And we are working to try and get to the information that's stored in the body. I'm not an expert on all other modalities, but I think other modalities may focus on one or two of those areas, or none of them at all. And again, I'm not saying any other modality is bad. It's just somatic experiencing is different in my understanding. And I hope that I've explained it well.
No, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. So, what are some questions that people may want to ask? Do they ask of themselves if this is going to be something that's beneficial for them? Is there like a pre-experience to the somatic experience? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. How do I know if it's for me? How do I know if I want to do it? So, yes, Peter Levine is I consider the father of somatic experiencing. He has written books. So there's books by him that you may want to read to learn about somatic experiencing. One of those books is called Waking the Tiger. I believe he also has some videos on YouTube that are free that you can watch him working with someone so you can actually see what a session looks like. And other questions to know if somatic experiencing might be for you is, have I tried other modalities and there's just still some things that aren't shifting for me, that maybe we just can't locate what the source is, and could it possibly be in something that's being stored in my body, and have I not looked at my body and worked and partnered with my body to allow that to get integrated and renegotiated so that I can not operate from that wounded place any longer. And then you can go try a session as well. And you may want to try more than one and session. You may want to try different practitioners. Not all practitioners are the same. And somatic experiencing really is a lens that we look through and utilize as how we show up. So there's licensed clinical social workers, there's marriage family therapists, there's body workers, massage therapists. Mine is CranioSacral, where we incorporate other modality and use that somatic experiencing lens. So we can do somatic experiencing standalone, and we can use that lens to work from our other modalities. So my recommendation is to research it, learn about it, and try a few different practitioners and find one that you feel really comfortable with. That's kind of how I would recommend for any therapy that you would do is, try them out, find one that feels good. And maybe you're going to do one kind of therapy for a while, and then maybe you need to do a different kind of therapy. For my journey, I also utilized EMDR. I kind of felt like I wanted to approach things from more than one angle. So I did incorporate craniosacral in my healing, EMDR in my healing, and somatic experiencing. And I'm not done healing. I mean, I don't think we ever are.
What's one specific thing that you want other people to know about somatic experiencing?
Oh, wow. I want other people to know it is an amazing modality that has the potential to change the client's life.
So it's definitely life altering.
Yes, it has been for me. I can only speak for me, but it has been for me. Yes.
So is this mostly just for adults, or can you use it on any age? Does it matter? You know what I mean? Like sometimes kids go through these horrific experiences. Would it be something that you would want to start with them at that moment? Like to push
Absolutely.
through it?
Yep, absolutely. You can work with them as early as they can understand. And, there's some communication, so they have to understand enough to know what you're expressing, but it can be used on children And it really is a way of slowing down, because trauma is too much, too soon, too fast. And so that can happen to all of us at any age. And things that are traumatic for young kids, to an adult looking, it's like, okay, from our adult lens, you'll be fine, no problem. But to that child experiencing it, it's big and it's too much, too soon, too fast. And so if there is a child that's having an experience like that, it is to slow it down, acknowledge, what's happening, what are you feeling, that was scary, wasn't it? There's a lovely book that helps. I learned about this book in CranioSacral. The concepts are wonderful. It's called The Whole Brain Child, and talks about how we process and approach our beliefs and the stories that we emerge into adulthood. It's a fascinating book.
I love that you're referencing different books that have actually assisted you in your journey. I think that there too,
Yeah.
reading, opening, keeping our minds open to different opportunities is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you do use this with other modalities, right?
Yes.
So
I
mostly
personally,
craniosacral or Reiki, or just kind of depending on the person.
right now, my main modality is craniosacral. Reiki, I think, is the energy is, the energy is there. It's always there. And I think that I don't have the intention of using Reiki. I have my intention of using my craniosacral, but it is energy. So energy's energy, everything's energy. So yes, you can use it with other modalities. You can use it with Reiki. Traditional talk therapists sometimes incorporate some of the concepts.
I love it. So can you give us some examples of how the somatic experiencing really assists other people during their healing journey? Or I guess it's just through word of mouth, people navigate towards you for this?
People would find this, I think, because that's being talked about more people are incorporating it. So it's word of mouth, it's books that are out there by Peter Levine, it's YouTube's, it's books like The Body Keeps the Score that talks about different modalities. People, I truly believe that people find the right things at the right time. And so if it's calling to you, if you hear about it once or twice or the third time, by the third time, it's probably something you want to pay attention to. If it keeps crossing your path, then it's okay, maybe I should look into this. I've heard about this more than once. What is this? So I invite people to really trust themselves and trust their knowing and what they're being called to. And if it's something that's feeling like they want to experience it, then try it. Absolutely.
So when you reflect back on your life, would you say that somatic experiencing had this invitation earlier in your process, your journey? Do you believe things would have been easier for you, or do you believe it arrived at the perfect timing, as in the divine timing?
Yeah. Well, my human part really wishes I could have learned and healed long time ago. And so I do feel that if it had crossed my path when I was younger, that it would have made a positive difference. And with saying that, it happened at the right time. It's all divine timing, because maybe I wasn't ready then. My human part wishes that I was ready back then so that I wouldn't have had to go through some of the hard things that I've gone through. So it really is divine timing. It's both. I'm going to have to say it's both.
It really is, right? Because even if had you come across this earlier, would your physical self been ready? You know, it's
Yeah,
so I
maybe not.
totally agree.
Yeah, I might not have been. So, but I did find it and it came to me finally. And now I'm really working towards living my best life. And that's all any of us can do, right? Is just try and be better than we were yesterday.
Absolutely. So, what are some other qualities people should look for in a somatic experiencing and a practitioner, somebody like you? Like, what are the qualities?
Someone who listens to them, really makes them feel like what they are experiencing is important relationship, the client and practitioner relationship. So it has to be someone that you respect and you feel respected. Definitely someone, that has been through the training, someone who does their own work. It's easy to go through a training and to learn something. And if I had never done my work, I'm still maybe an effective somatic experiencing practitioner, but doing my own work really makes me, I think, me and others, very more effective because we know what it's like to be in the client's seat. So things that are important to you, and really things that are important when you're choosing any provider, would be in play when you're choosing a somatic experiencing practitioner as well. The client needs to be comfortable. That's the very most important thing.
To be heard. I think people need to be heard and feel like they're being validated and heard, listened to,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So how can
Definitely.
people actually reach out and get in touch with you? I'm going to have all our links in the show notes. Is there an easier way?
Email as well is a good way to get a hold of me. And I do have also a Facebook page for my business. My business is called Discover Ease. So there's a dash, Discover dash Ease. So I have a Facebook page where I try and post some very uplifting and interesting information.
Can you do this on yourself, by the way, or do you need assistance?
There are some techniques and some things that we learn that we can do for self-supporting. Absolutely. So just as one example, sometimes when we get that really tight feeling in our belly, down in our belly, if our stomach tightens up, and if we can't shake that, or if that's really bothersome, we can take a long inhale, and then on the exhale, very slowly, as low of vibration as possible, we make the sound VOO. And we try and feel that VOO sound vibrate our belly to try and get that to loosen up. So it's breathing in and then VOO. And you try and get that so you feel it in your belly. That's one thing to do. There's definitely other techniques that we learn that support when we're activated and need some regulation.
Do you share those as well, different tools and techniques with your customers, your clients, your guests?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. My goal is for anyone that I work with to be able to go out into the world and feel more comfortable being in the world. And I want people that I work with to learn and trust and know that they are capable and competent and strong, and that they have everything they need in order to be safe in the world. And I'll be there to like training wheels, but they won't eventually need me.
So you actually use this in your day-to-day living style and merge it with your healing as
Yes.
well.
Yes. Yep. It's a lens. It's kind of a way to see the world. Yeah. In addition to being a healing modality.
So for me, I see this as you living your gift and your purpose, your magic and your medicine that you bring to the world.
Ooh, that just gave me full body shivers. And I love that you see it that way. And that's what I try to do. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I see that within you. So as the holidays are approaching and so many people have anxiety when it comes to, especially I'll say family gatherings, do you have any tips or tricks on how the somatic experiencing can really assist people that really have that hard, I don't want to say anxiety, but the the thrill of the joy, this time of the year kind of creates havoc. Do you have any tips for that?
Yes, I do actually. And it is really just to take a break. If you're in a family situation, and some of these things are hardwired when we get in around our families, we can fall right back into those old familial roles and take a break if you need to. Go into your car or into the bathroom, do the voo sound, take some deep breaths, and just know that you can do whatever you need to do to allow yourself to feel more at ease in these situations. So we put a lot of rules on ourselves, and I think it's about giving ourselves permission to do what's best for us. And if we need to walk outside or take a break for a little while, if I need to get into my car and drive to the convenience store for nothing that I don't need, then maybe that's what I need to do. So that's my answer.
I love it. So, does this have any downsides? I mean, I'm wondering if it's going to trigger more, or does it kind of, I always see triggers as growth periods as well. So it's like two sides of the splash effect, I guess. So are there any downsides to this kind of therapy?
That is a great question. Very interesting. And here's an example from my journey. I realized one day that I was feeling really sad and I was grieving. And I realized I was grieving the part of me that was being healed, because that part of me had gotten me to where I was. And even though it wasn't effective and sometimes it wasn't what was the most positive for the situation, it still was a part of me that wasn't there anymore because I was now showing up in a healthier way. And I had some healthy grief over that. So yes, it can be activating. Yes, it can stir things up. As far as like a contraindication or a don't do this if, I don't know of any. I'm not a medical doctor, so definitely if there's any concern or question, always, get proper care from a physician or a medical doctor. But I do not know of any downsides that I can speak to. Everything I've experienced has been a positive thing for me. And I'm not using positive meaning pleasant, because some things that are positive for us are uncomfortable. And so there has been some uncomfortable things, like that grief, but it was a positive thing for me as far as it's was all in the name of healing, and it was getting me to where I am now. And where I am now is amazing, and I just cannot even imagine where further healing will take me. So
I see that. So is there anything that the somatic experiencing can't or shouldn't address, or do you always like refer basically back to your physician, medical practitioner first?
yeah, that's exactly what I would do, is to refer with the medical doctor. Now if you have diagnoses for mental health conditions, maybe it's a psychiatrist that you're working with or a medical doctor. But for the most part, for the general public, this is a very safe and effective and wonderful modality. And again, if there's any concern or question about, well, I have this, I've been diagnosed with that, then it would be to partner with and have a discussion with your care provider.
Absolutely. So if somebody's feeling fantastic overall, but maybe they kind of have an inner desire to explore somatic experiencing, what may they expect? I bet something comes out from under the sheets or the closet.
Oh yeah, we all have stuff, right? We all have things that happened when we were younger. Maybe we got lost for 5 minutes at the store when we were little, and our parents, we wandered off, or our parents wandered off, whatever happened, and we had that fear. Anything that was overwhelming can leave traces in our body. And so someone who's feeling fantastic, if they want to explore it, sure. Yeah, we're all human. We're all perfectly imperfect. And so it allows us to look at who we are and get to know ourselves on a deeper level, in a different way than most of us had the opportunity to do that in the past. So yeah, they could expect all sorts of cool stuff to happen.
Absolutely. So Is there anything else that your heart desires to share with my listeners in my audio medicine room?
Just heartfelt gratitude for being able to come here, and I feel like I've gushed about somatic experiencing. So just thank you for letting me do that. And I really invite your listeners to explore and look into some of those books and try it if they have someone near them that they want to work with or learn about somatic experiencing. And I just wish more healing and more health for everyone.
Ashe, blessings. I will have all of Michelle's info in the show notes. And if this episode inspired you in some magical somatic experience way, please tag the Tonya D. And as always, I will see you on the other side. Ashe, blessings. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Season of the Witches on Musing with Tonya D. We heartfelt appreciate each and every one of our incredible listeners for tuning in who make this journey so rare and fulfilling. And if you found value in our discussions, insights, consider supporting us by making a donation. Your contribution helps keep the cosmic conversations flowing and ensures that we can continue bringing you meaningful content. A little woo-woo, however. Visit our website or check the episode description for details on how you can contribute. Remember, your support fuels the magic of the Season of the Witches, Musing with Tonya D. Until next time, stay inspired, keep manifesting your reality, and thank you, Ashe, 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 for being part of our cosmic community. I'll see you on the other side. Blessings.